Violence erupts on California college campuses as pro-Hamas protesters seize control of buildings and clash with police. Coming up, we'll tell you what the response should be and how these protests might actually impact California's general election. All that and more coming right up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and we see these protests breaking out nationwide at various events, in streets, on various college campuses. But here in California, they are particularly violent. I'm talking about the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist protests that are happening. And look, there's no doubt in my mind that these protests are professionally organized and well-funded by left-wing agitators. Here is the coverage from Fox LA on the protests up at UCLA. Let's go ahead and start out here.
There is a large law enforcement presence now on the campus of UCLA. Those simmering tensions over dueling protests overnight explode. Pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli supporters going at it with sticks, fists, even fireworks.
We have team coverage this morning. We begin with Gigi Graciette. She's live at UCLA, where police
You see people there lighting off fireworks and beating people with bats, it looks like. Of course, you see all those hoodlums with their masks on. They know what they're doing is heinously immoral and wrong and illegal, and they're trying to protect their identity. Got to tear those masks off and make them famous.
That's right. And in the 3 hours or so that we've been here, this is actually the first moment of calm that we've had all morning long here on the UCLA campus. Now, we are near the pro-Palestine encampment. Hard to see the actual protesters, demonstrators, because
let's talk about what it is. It's not a pro-Palestine encampment. This is a pro-Hamas encampment. If you really were worried about Palestinians, you would call for the overthrow of the Hamas terrorist regime. You'd want to liberate Palestinians from these thugs, these terrorists who murder gays and mistreat women. You want to talk about human rights? Take a look at the evil philosophy and the heinous, barbaric crimes committed by the Hamas government in the West, in Gaza. These people are antithetical to what we believe as Americans. They are the opposite of human rights. And so if you're pro-Palestinian, you should be anti-Hamas. You should actually be in support of what Israel is doing, not just because Israel has a right to defend itself from a terrorist attack, but because Israel would be the way in which we're able to help Palestinians shrug off and throw off the Hamas regime. Let's listen into more.
2x4s, wooden boards, metal, anything and everything. There's also a metal barricade. Now, police are still here on the scene. I'm going to ask photographer Tony Butita to pan over to the right. We see the California Highway
By the
Patrol.
way, is this what an insurrection looks like? Asking for a friend. Again, this is not free speech. What they're doing right now is not free speech. Free speech is someone going into the town square, going online and saying, hey, here's my view on this issue. I don't like this policy. I don't like that policy. Even free speech can sometimes be offensive and hateful. It's protected under the First Amendment. Sadly, that people are hateful, but they have the right to be hate mongers because of the First Amendment. And that's the way freedom works. But they don't have the right to trespass. They don't have the right to become violent. That is not free speech. That is not a peaceful protest. It's not protected. It is thuggery and it is illegal. What they are doing is illegal. And a reminder, the college graduation for schools in California, for most schools, has been canceled because the university administrators don't believe that they can keep people safe during a graduation. Remember what happened 4 years ago, May 2024, May 2020, 4 years ago, high school graduations were all canceled because we were in the middle of the pandemic. So for these kids in May of 2024 graduating from colleges. They did not get a high school graduation, and now they're not going to get a college graduation. Just let that sink in for a moment, what these thugs, these hoodlums are doing. The joyous milestones of life being ripped away from these kids by misfits.
Security, they use private security, and the LAPD is here, but the skirmish line keeping the counter demonstrators, which in this case are the pro-Israel demonstrators, away, has been taken down because they have gone home now, so all is quiet. But let me show you what it looked like at about 10:45 last night. That's when about 150 to 200 pro-Israel demonstrators arrived and faced off with the demonstrators inside the pro-Palestine encampment. They tried to remove some of the barricade. We're talking about those wooden boards, those pallets, and all heck broke loose. There were fights. People were using bats. We saw people with some serious head injuries, beaten and bloodied, and they were just going at it. And no police were in sight. There was no one. Now, we understand that
look at that. It's a skateboard.
Campus police may have arrived, but then they quickly
that could kill someone.
retreated. UCLA then requesting that LAPD come in, but that was after the fact.
On the ground.
After the fight. Now, we heard from some students, both Palestinian and Israeli students, telling us they came in peace, but the truth is there was
You don't come in peace when you have a baseball bat in your hand, okay? Let me just be very clear. When you show up with a baseball bat, there is no peace there, okay? That is intent.
I personally don't go to the school. I have family members that do. They're stopping students from going to their classes, making an excuse for something else. What they're doing is, and that's it. We're here to stop them from doing what they're doing.
Now, we're told the violence went on for about 3 hours before police intervened. The LAPD saying they were requested by the UCLA Police Department to assist them.
Look, you've seen similar stories around the nation of violent protests. You saw at the nerd prom in Washington, the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., pro-Hamas protesters harassing people going to that event. I have to kind of chuckle because everyone in that event, with rare exception, they're liberal mouthpieces in the media. And they sit there and they say, "Oh, these people are great." Well, your little shindig got interrupted by these hoodlums. But the violence is inexcusable. This is what you saw in fascist Germany, Nazi Germany. This is fascism. These are the tools of fascists, and these are people who say, "Oh no, they're for peace and human rights." No, these are well-organized, funded, violent political projects, and these don't just suddenly appear. We have seen all sorts of evidence of people coming in and planning and organizing these all at the same time nationwide, in particularly these liberal areas on college campuses. So this was something that was plotted out. And I'd like to see a federal investigation. Who funded the takeover of colleges and universities? Who funded crime? Who's funding the violence? We need to see investigators. I hope that if there's a Republican attorney general in a state, that they will launch an investigation, or if there's a district attorney, and more on that in just a minute, about some district attorneys even in California are taking action against left-wing violence. Here's another story I wanted to share with you. It's a Jewish student at UCLA that was blocked from entering campus, and it just raises comparisons to Nazi Germany and how Jews were blocked from participating in business, blocked from living in certain communities, from going to school there. Again, this is evil in our midst.
Can I please go to class?
We're going this way. You guys have closed the entrance. We are UCLA students. I have my ID right here. I'm being blocked off, not by the security guard, but by you two. You three. Oh, look, they're making
a wall blocking this kid.
This is what they do. Everybody, look at this. Look at this. I'm a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school. and they're not letting me walk in. My class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Why can't they go? Will you let me go in? This could be over in a second. Just let me and my friends go in to class.
We're not engaging.
Notice how they're wearing masks and face diapers. It's not because of COVID. They're doing that because they don't want their identity to be known.
I'm going in.
I think we ought to make them
I
famous.
have my hands up. I'm not
Make sure that no prospective employer ever wants to hire them.
That's what they do.
Well,
That's what they
cancel
do,
culture,
everybody. You guys
but
are
for
promoting aggression.
good reason.
You guys are promoting hate.
So this Jewish student not able to get into their school. What should happen? Well, let's be reasonable about it. This is a time for choosing. This is a time to call out evil, to call out hate, to call out anti-Semitism, to pick a side between right and wrong. These protesters are wrong. If they want to express their First Amendment rights, they have every opportunity to do that. But this crosses the line. It gets into breaking and entering, trespassing, disrupting the operations of a college or university. It gets into violence. And as a result, these students ought to be arrested. So step one is people who break the law should be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. In California, though, we don't arrest and punish criminals. So these kids are going to get off scot-free. And more importantly, the college administrators are absolute cowards. They refuse to do what is necessary to maintain order on college campuses. Second, these students should be penalized financially. If they decide to borrow money in the name of federal taxpayers, if they get a Pell Grant or a loan or some sort of scholarship, that should be taken away. Because we give resources to students who want to complete a degree, who want to learn. If you want to engage in this sort of misconduct, no, you don't get the financial aid of taxpayers. So if we have to pass a law retroactively to claw it back, so be it. But I think there ought to be a financial penalty. Third, I think that students ought to be punished if they participate in the disruption of a class, even if it's not against the law. I think that they should be penalized, suspended. There should be some sort of academic penalty. But of course, I don't hold out the hope that college and university administrators are going to take that route. But it's something that we ought to be calling for. There needs to be sanction. Finally, we need to hold our politicians accountable. They have sat silently while all this has played out, with rare exception. The ones that have spoken out, thank you. But even Republicans in the state of California are eerily quiet on what is going on California colleges and university campuses. Local elected officials, we have a lot of Republicans elected at the local level. Where are their press conferences decrying the hate, the anti-Semitism, and the violence? It is time to speak up. It is time to push back. I want to cover real quick this other story because we do cover multiple stories here. Your gas prices are going to be going up. Another automatic gas tax increase going into effect July 1st. It's a 2 cent increase. Not a very large increase, but that will get you a 60 cent per gallon, 59.6 cents per gallon in the state of California. Had our gas tax repeal initiative gone into effect from 2018, all these automatic increases would not be happening, and our gas prices would be about 30 cents cheaper across the board. But no, the politicians mistitled our initiative, stole an election. Yes, they did. And that's why we're paying the price today. So that's the latest increase going on. Our taxpayer protection initiative would prohibit that from happening. And finally, I mentioned earlier that there are some district attorneys that are combating left-wing violence. I want to give a shout out to San Diego District Attorney Summer Steffen, and I want to praise her for bringing charges against 9 individuals for their role in January of 2021 showing up in Pacific Beach, California, and violently attacking Republicans who had a display. The Republicans get together, I think, once a month in Pacific Beach, and they do a pop-up tent and, distribute literature. In other words, they're exercising their First Amendment rights. These thugs, probably very similar from the element of the folks that have taken over the California colleges and universities, these thugs showed up. Oh, look at them. Oh, yeah. How about you invite them over for Thanksgiving? These thugs showed up with the intent of violently attacking peaceful Republicans, simply enjoying the beach and exercising their First Amendment rights. For that, the left has viciously attacked District Attorney Summer Stephan. But she is bringing charges, and she's actually gotten some plea deals from these individuals. But this is a very rare example of a district attorney in California bringing charges against Antifa. I want to see more of this. Where there's violence in our community, the district attorney, if the college administrators won't take action, if the attorney general of the state of California won't take action, then I call on the district attorney in each county where these colleges and universities are located to take action. There's a reason why I think that this big violent protest occurs in UCLA. They know that George Gascon, the district attorney up there, the George Soros-funded Gascon, won't take any action against them. And I bet you any money George Soros is behind these vile protests at colleges and universities in California. There's no surprise why UCLA is the most violent place that we're seeing in California, because they know that their district attorney will never hold these kids accountable. At Reform California, we are supporting a candidate for district attorney, Nathan Hochman, to replace George Gascon in Los Angeles. And I absolutely believe that Nathan Hochman will fully enforce the law. And if there was violence going on under his watch, he would take and make charges happen against those individuals. But we can't support good candidates like Nathan and others without your support. My top priority at Reform California is publishing our voter guide every election, the Plain English Reform California Voter Guide, which not only gives you a plain English description of the ballot measures, but contains all of the candidates that we support, from Congress all the way down to our school board candidates, city council candidates, state legislative candidates, and district attorneys and sheriffs. So please contribute to our cause at reformcalifornia.org. If you haven't signed up yet, please sign up on the website at the bottom. Just put in your name, your email, your phone, and your zip code. You'll be continuing to get our updates and including our voter guide every election. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.